Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this Netflix review. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. Today we're going to be talking about the new Netflix true crime documentary, Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey, which was a documentary that really challenged me mentally and emotionally. I don't think I was actually prepared to watch this documentary. It tackles some very heavy subject matter. It tackles some very difficult topics and themes. But I think it's something that we actually need to address and talk about. So while, yes, I'm going to be reviewing the documentary from a technical point of view as if it was a movie like I normally do my reviews, I'm also going to break down the actual subject matter that was tackled in this documentary as well, because I do believe that is worth talking about. And that's probably going to take up majority of this review, is discussing who Warren Jeffs was and his ideology and how it is incredibly, I would say, worse than toxic. It was cancerous, it was destructive, it was life-destroying. And he destroyed many people's lives. And ultimately what the entire documentary is about, it's following Warren Jeffs and how he led the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is a far-set section of the church, the Mormon Church. So the way I'm going to be approaching this review, or rather discussion of this documentary, is I myself am a Christian and a married Christian, and my faith is already far separated from the Mormon faith. I would say I'm a charismatic Christian. I'm just a Bible believing Christian, recently married, love my wife with all my heart. So I'm looking at this documentary with that in mind, and the first thing I can say is just wow. So the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they're a sect that truly believes, and this belief was really hammered home by Warren Jeffs and his father before him, that, you know, the only way to get to the highest point of heaven is by collecting a ton of wives and collecting a ton of children. In fact, he had, if I'm not mistaken, 27 wives. And it's not just a matter of, you know, polygamy, because that was a massive part of the church's polygamy. It's the fact that women were used as a commodity. In Warren Jeffs' case, he actually had, if I'm not mistaken, 27 wives, and 14 of them were underage. These were women who literally legally couldn't even consent to getting married, and in many cases, actually I would say even majority of cases, didn't even want to marry him. But he had set up this community, because they were a community, in such a way that viewed him not only as the prophet of God, but like almost God on earth. And that's incredibly dangerous. Now, that's how I want to get to my first point through that. And I mentioned this in my review of the Netflix series Messiah. And it is, you have to actually understand what you believe. Now, I've never read the Book of Mormon. I've read my Bible, though I understand what the Bible says. You as an individual, and this is why I believe that these members of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have to understand, is that you have to understand what you believe. And without having read the Book of Mormon, that I highly doubt in that book the teachings teach, you know, polygamy, and teach that you're all subservient to this one man, and that you don't actually have a personal relationship with God. And it's this idea that and what really stumps me is that it seems like a lot of these community members had a very absent relationship with God. Their version of God was Warren Jeffs. And again, I don't know what the Book of Mormon teaches, and if it contradicts the Bible in that way, then that's incredibly disappointing. But the truth of the matter is, we're all built to have a personal relationship with God. And so if you have that relationship with God, you're not going to be subservient to a man like Warren Jeffs, who can use you and abuse you and say, oh no, but your holy books say this, this and this. But it is incredibly difficult, because they're living in the society where they're taught nothing different. They have, in many cases, absolutely no connection to the outside world. And we even see in the documentary that they weren't allowed to watch television, they weren't allowed to read the newspaper. The textbooks that they had in their specific schools literally had entire pages ripped out. So they weren't exposed to anything other than what Warren Jeffs was saying. And that's an incredibly scary part, is the lack of education. This entire community was built up and brought up with this idea of, we're going to trust our parents. But the issue is that the parents were telling them falsehoods and giving them lies. And that's what's so incredibly scary, is there was no way for these people to educate themselves, for these people to learn. They just had to assume what they were following was the truth. And I think that ties into my first point, which is understand what you believe. And it's incredibly difficult in a situation like this where it's very difficult for you to educate yourself. And not only that, when you do come to a conclusion that you want to leave this sect, that you want to leave this community, Warren Jeffs then sends people after you to bring you back, because now you're exposed to these illegal activities he's doing. And of course, he doesn't want to be caught out. And of course, there's the hypocrisy of Warren Jeffs as a person, because he's preaching all of these commandments. He's telling people, you know, you can't wear certain colors, you can't drink certain things, you've got to do specific things. And then he goes and leaves his community and attends strip clubs and goes gambling and just lives an incredibly deplorable life. And then moving on from that, comes back to the community and, you know, forces women to marry him. But not just that, then goes and rapes younger women, rapes actual children, and then twists it into, oh no, this is something you've got to do for God. And that's another thing I just want to address, is how disgusting it is when men can abuse their positions of power, because we do live in a world where that can happen. But not just that, when men decide to use God as a weapon, and we've seen this throughout history over and over and over again, is when we use people's desperation for a relationship with God as a weapon to get them to do what we want them to do. And that is something that's always disgusted me, because you're not just playing with someone's life, you're playing with their eternal life, because they're going to build up this hatred or this misunderstanding of who God is. And that's a really scary thought. So ultimately, I had all of these thoughts jumping around my head. I had this sick feeling in my stomach this entire time I'm watching this, because I'm seeing this evil, sick, twisted man do all of these deplorable acts, and he finally gets arrested, and I'm feeling so excited and so happy, only to realize that to this day, while he might still be in prison, he's continuing to send sermons out to his community, and there are still hundreds of thousands of people who follow his teachings. So there are still hundreds of thousands of people who still continue to live in this community where women are seen as a commodity, where they're almost traded for positions of power, where they're seen as almost items rather than people. And that community still exists to this day because they've been so brainwashed to believe every single word that Warren Jeffs says. And that's a really, really scary thought, and my heart breaks for those people. So yeah, guys, that was me just basically discussing what the documentary tackled, and I'd love to know what you guys thought of it as well. If you're still going to watch the documentary, what you think your headspace is going into the documentary. But from an actual technical point of view, from a movie making or a filmmaking point of view, this has to be one of the most engaging documentaries I've watched in the last little while. In regards to entertainment, it was there. It kept my entertainment the whole time. It kept my attention. But in regards to education, it answered a ton of questions I had about this. There's only a few questions I would say they left unanswered, but that's always going to tend to happen. It's very rare you'll get a documentary that will answer every single question that you might have about a specific topic. But I do kind of wish we learned a little bit more about their theology. We learned a little bit more about how the entire church was founded. They dipped into that a little bit, but I wanted to know like the roots of the entire community. But besides that, this is truly one of the better, if not best, Netflix true crime documentaries I've watched in a very long time. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching this. Give this video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to my channel, it would really mean the world to me, and I hope to see you again in another review.